We'll just keep letting people in as they come. And yeah, let's go ahead
I
and
love that when you start recording, it gives me an option to leave. It's
I
like,
know, I
they're
know,
now recording this. Do you want to leave the meeting?
I know. It's so weird. Like they really make it like feel like, oh boy.
That's
Uh,
funny.
okay, so we're gonna go ahead and roll in. So let's go ahead and get started. Uh,
Okay.
Hello, everyone that's joining us today. My name is Jeremy Heiler. I'm the creative director for PhotoBiz, and I want to welcome you all to our special workshop today. It's always great when we can speak with industry leaders and photographers, and I couldn't think of anyone better than today's guest. We'll be chatting with her, asking her some questions, and towards the end, we'll open it for you to ask your own. If you have any questions, you can also leave it in a chat window. We will pull them up. We might even actually pull them up and actually answer them right then and there as well. So today's guest is Jenn Lewis. Jenn Lewis is a portrait photographer. She's a headshot photographer based in Clemens, North Carolina. She's a certified professional photographer and craftsman's photographer and has provided education and mentoring for photographers for many years. When she's not working or teaching, she's out traveling or spending time with her children. Jenn Lewis is a great friend to us here at PhotoBiz. So let's welcome Jenn. Hi, Jenn.
Hey, Jeremy. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Thank you for joining us. I'm really excited that you were able to do this. Tell us what you've been up to lately. You know, you've been traveling. I know you just talked a little bit to me personally before we started. What have you been up to?
Yeah, just got back from Vegas most recently. Second trip to Vegas this year already. So yeah, there for a while, like from imaging to fusion, our workshop in Vegas. It was like 6 trips in 8 weeks. So it was a little bit nuts, but that's the way I like it. So
Wow.
but yeah, fusion is our workshop in Vegas where we go over like lighting and posing for photo. Uh,
Mhm.
and with Dan Freevault, and Garen Cooper teaches video and he's amazing. And then I do business stuff. So it's a lot of fun, a little over 3 days in Vegas. And you can't find anywhere better to shoot for photographers than that. So it was a lot of fun.
No doubt. I've seen some of the work that comes out of there each time you guys do it, and I'm just blown away. I'm like, man, Vegas is just, it just looks so gorgeous to capture anything out there. Um,
Yeah.
it's nuts.
It's
Um,
so different than here, I mean, you guys are about 35 minutes from me. So, I mean, you've been to my studio, but it's such a different landscape, and the images, it's like a photographer's playground out there. The images we get are awesome. It's always a blast, and the attendees always really enjoy it too.
Yeah, if you don't know, PhotoBiz is actually located in Greensboro, North Carolina. So that's a big thing. Is like we have a lot of different environments, but it's a lot of woodland. So when you get out completely into the desert, that's like alien territory for us. But for me, it's a romanticized look, something that I can't capture anywhere else because we have to go so far. So when I see you shoot something out there, I'm like, man, she's getting to play.
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
Yeah. So, let's go a little bit more in depth about, who you are. Tell us a little bit about you. How did you get started in photography? What was your passion? Did it begin, when you were young? Or did something change in your life that make you go, I want to do this?
I have photographed everything for as long as I can remember. I feel like that's so cliche, but my dad bought me my first SLR when I was 10.
Wow.
And I have pictures of me as a 10-year-old with a Minolta X700 around my neck. Everywhere we lived in England for several years, and my dad was Air Force, and so everywhere we went I would have that camera on my neck, and I loved photographing since I was a kid. So it didn't surprise anybody when I ended up in this career path. But yeah, it's just been something I've always loved. But I didn't start my business until I was well into adulthood with kids and everything. By the time I started my business, it was about 15, it'll be 15 years in July. And it started because I was a typical mom with a camera. I was like, oh, I want a nicer camera to take nice pictures of my kids. And then I started doing that, and people were like, oh my gosh, these are good. I'll pay you to take pictures of my kids. And that's kind of how it started. Which I feel again is so cliche, but that's my story. That's what happened. So
I mean, that's always, even if it is cliche, it is incredible to see like when someone picks up a camera and how that can like transform their lives. When I was young, I was a pencil guy. I drew everything. So, getting a paintbrush was a new tool. And then I didn't really touch a camera until till I was in high school. So that was a transformative part of my life too. And I went into the film and video industry after that. It's just kind of interesting what that can really change in your life just by having something like pictures and visual images. It's just transforms your whole life and where you want to go in your direction.
Yeah, I don't even draw stick figures well, so I admire you for being able to do any of that. But yeah, the camera is definitely the only way I can create any art. And honestly, I don't really consider myself an artist. I'm a photographer. Like I'm not I like to do creative shoots, but I'm not super creative. Like some of the people that I see create things, a lot of my good friends, they're just incredible with the creative side. And I envy that. But I'm a photographer, I run a business, and I do pretty well for myself. So I'm happy with where it's at.
Hey, that's what it's about. Sometimes you got to strike that balance, right? You can have your creativity, but it's always business at the end of the day.
Yep.
I think a lot of people think you go into the arts immediately. It's like, oh, you're a starving artist or something like that. No, if you're thinking about commerce and you're thinking about business, and that's the tool you use, that's the right way to think about it.
Yep.
So, let's talk about the type of photography that you do. Like tell us what types of photography that you actually shoot.
So I specialize in high school seniors. That's my bread and butter. And I also, during COVID, started offering kids and teen sessions, which is not something that I ever really messed with a whole lot before. But you diversify when you when you need to make sure that your business survives a pandemic, apparently. So anyway, so I started doing that, and I actually love the teen sessions. I've been having a lot of fun with those. So I've really been enjoying that. But then I also do commercial work. So I do a lot of headshots, business headshots, and a lot, actually more actor headshots than business even. So I stay really busy with actor headshots, and I do some commercial video as well. So it's basically seniors headshots and some video.
That's awesome. So how do you connect with the people who are doing like acting and stuff?
I am actually connected with an acting studio in Greensboro that people drive hours to come to. And so I actually am the primary headshot photographer for that acting studio. So they send me everybody from there. And then I have a couple of agencies in North Carolina that send me their actors and models as well. So it's been really nice. They just feed right into my business, and people come from up to like 3 hours away to shoot with me, which has been really to me, that blows me away. I'm like, they have photographers by you, right? But I guess I'm known, quite a bit in the industry as far as doing actor headshots. So that's been a lot of fun. Actually, when I went to teach at Fusion, one of my actors came out there. If anybody watches Sweet Magnolias on Netflix, Anna Judge, who plays Annie on the show, Annalise Judge, I've started photographing her. First time I photographed her was 2017, before she was on anything. And started doing her headshots then. And she came out to Vegas with us for a couple of days to play with me and Dan and Garen to shoot a little bit in Vegas. But it's fun having a Netflix star as one of my clients and get to do creative stuff with her.
That's really cool. So she finds time to still come out and shoot with you.
Oh yeah, she loves it. She tells everybody I'm her favorite photographer. I'm okay with that.
So, what drove you into actually wanting to do, seniors and headshots versus like weddings, newborns, or anything like that? What gravitated you towards that?
Well, when I first started 15 years ago, I would photograph anything anybody would pay me for, which I think is the way a lot of us start. And my seniors have never pooped or peed or puked on me. So that was a good reason to go to them from newborns. So I did drop newborns several years ago. I photographed weddings for about 9 years. And let's be honest, Jeremy, I get FOMO. I do not like booking anything a year and a half out because I've missed really cool opportunities to do stuff because I had a wedding booked. And, and it's a long day, and you don't get a do-over. It's a lot more pressure than, just getting to go out and just play with a senior. And so it's just not my thing, and so I gave up weddings a few years ago, and it was like the best day of my life. May 19th, 2018. Not that I pay attention, but that was my last wedding, and I have not looked back since. Like, I don't miss those at all, but it's, I think you find your niche when you when you are working and you're photographing all kinds of things, and then you start noticing like these are the ones you really look forward to, and these are the sessions that you're like, oh gosh, I don't want to do this, you kind of dread it. And I think it kind of works itself out. So I mean, there are people who love photographing, newborns and kids and families or weddings or things like that. And so I think we all find our niche as we're kind of working and seeing where our heart leads us.
No, I completely understand. I tried to do weddings like twice, and I was like, this is built for someone else.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of event shooting for like, corporate events and stuff like that. But like weddings, there's so much expectation and timing and things like that that feel very mission critical that if you miss it, it just feels like, okay, who's going to be at fault in a weird way. So I was like, I don't need that anxiety in my life. I like the controlled visual aspect. I like doing portraits myself. So I like that type of environment.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot. And, honestly, I think the commitment part, my FOMO was really what started it. But then I was like, even, it's a long day, and then it's an entire week worth of work after that long day, when you're shooting weddings, and that's just not something. And honestly, I do a lot better with seniors, and, go shoot a couple of hours,
Mhm.
and I'm making more than most people make shooting a wedding. And so, why torture myself to make the same money in a handful of hours that I was making, and after a week's worth of work.
So let's go into that a little bit. When you started, you were more of a turn and burn photographer. What
Oh
was
yeah.
what was it like, and what made you actually want to change that approach?
So when I started out 15 years ago, I was shooting burning for $55 a session. So lower than most people would ever imagine. And I always talk about that, like when I'm teaching, because people see me on stage and they're like, oh, she doesn't understand, she doesn't understand where I'm at. I'm like, oh no, I definitely do. I was lower than most people. And so as far as pricing. And so yeah, that's just not sustainable. I remember when one of my kids called me, and he said, it was a Saturday and I was out shooting a session and I missed a soccer game. And he's like, Mom, I made my first goal, but you weren't there. And I was like, that was the worst thing. Like, there's not any money in the world that is worth missing that. And so that's kind of, I was like, I needed to raise my prices and go the right direction with that, because if I'm not going to spend time with my family, it has to be worth it to be spending time with somebody else's and missing stuff with my kids. And so I started raising my prices, but then I'm a huge believer, as you know, in in-person education, going to conferences and workshops and things like that and improving, as long as you actually do something with the information. It doesn't do you any good if you go and don't implement. But I went to an after dark education workshop conference, and first heard about in-person sales. And I was like, the numbers that they were throwing out blew me away, because at the time my average was like $350, and they were talking about these huge numbers, like over $1,000 and all this stuff. And I'm like, there's no way that, but I took it and went home, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. This client that I photographed before I left, she knew she had the option to buy the CD for $350, because back then it was CDs.
Yeah.
Knew she could buy the CD for $350 with the images. But I was like, hey, I've got your session ready, and I would love to have you come over to the house, and I can look through it with you and help you choose your images to print. And she was like, oh, that's cool. Really? And I was like, yeah, come on. And so it ended up being like, it was an $1,150 sale. And
Wow.
I was blown away, because I was like, okay, as my dad would say, she's got more money than she's got sense. I'm like, this is not a normal thing, but it was enough to intrigue me. I was like, okay, let's try this again. So then the next client, it was like 1,800. And the next client was 1,500. And I was like, this is incredible. It was more work per client, but I didn't have to work. I didn't have to shoot as many clients to make the same money. And so it was totally worth it. But I was blown away that I could make that kind of money. But it was finally getting to where I was making a real living and not losing money, because $55 a session, or even at $200 or $250 a session, like a lot of people charge these days, you're losing money. You're literally paying people. Once you figure out all your expenses and everything like that, you're not making anything. So But yeah, that's sorry. I ramble when it gets,
That's
I'm
okay.
into sales. So
No, that's what people want to know about.
yeah,
Because when you, especially when you're starting out, and I think this probably might still be happening with a lot of photographers. They want to make up, being affordable, but maximizing as much volume as they can, right? But then that's just isn't sustainable. How often can you fill up your days, right? How often are you trying to what's sustainable for you? Do I have to try to make 5 to 10 clients a day to figure out that this is how I need to turn out, or can I have 5 to 10 clients a month and kind of have that new IPS system kind of go in there and actually pay for all this stuff? So
right. Yeah, it definitely is. It's a balance you have to figure out for yourself. But for me, I mean, I cap at 40 seniors a year. And so to think of only having to go out 40 days in an entire year and photograph a senior, and then, the others are coming, they come in for the ordering sessions, but I don't retouch anything until they purchase it. So I'm not putting any time into it until they've actually paid me. And then that justifies the work that I'm putting in once I'm getting paid for it. So to me, I'd much rather work smarter, not harder. I'd
mhm.
rather work less and make more. And I love to build relationships with my clients. Like, I have awesome clients. I love to be able to spend time with them and that kind of thing. And I spend more time with them because I want to, not because of a business thing, but I just enjoy it. So I get to spend more time with them and build those relationships than I would if I was trying to churn out, 300 seniors a year to be able to make a living.
Yeah, that's something interesting. I know some photographers, they get kind of hung up on the creative process and they're like, okay, I shot these photos. Now I need to go ahead and clean them up before I even present them to anyone. So you do the opposite. You actually let them see the images and then here, if these are the ones you want, then we'll touch up. Is that right?
Right. Exactly. So I'm a huge believer in, well, most of my clients just see them straight out of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
If I have time and there are some that I really like that I know that I want to use on my website or something like that, I'll go ahead and maybe retouch a couple, but typically not at all. And I think for two reasons. Obviously, I don't want to retouch. I show a lot of images. My senior sessions, my most popular session is a senior experience, and it's 3 hours, multiple outfits, multiple locations, and it's I could show 120 images or more, and so obviously I don't want to retouch 120 images if they're picking 55 for their album. So I don't want to go through all that work because that's a lot of wasted time, and time is money. So, but I also think that when you're showing your images, a lot of us as photographers, for justification of our pricing, we say, well, it's not the paper and ink you're paying for, it's the work we're putting into it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you go in only having made a session fee and you're putting all that work into it for the $200 or $300 session fee you're charging, and you've already done all the work, it doesn't show the client the work that you're doing to charge that extra money for the album and wall art and things like that. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's, you're paying for not just the album, but all the work that it's putting into it. But it also shows them, photographer or clients, they think if they see your photos retouched already when you're showing them during the in-person sales session, they think they come out of the camera like that. They don't see the amount of work that we put into it. They don't see a before and after. They just think you have a really good camera. So they're like, they don't get the difference. So part of it justifies it for them too. I'm like, no, do you see the difference? Like, this is what it looks like now. This is what it looks like. And I shoot really clean. Yeah. I like to, as Bob Davis would always say, pre-touch rather than retouch. I want to get it right in camera as much as possible. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to just kind of fine tune the image and clean it up and, that kind of thing. But they can still see the difference from the retouching. But if you're showing them already retouched, they don't realize what they're paying for it. It's harder for them to justify spending all that money because they think you just went out and photographed for a couple of hours and your images are done. And they don't see that difference. So I like to show them, this is what it looks like, but this is what I'm going to make it look like. And again, it helps me justify the price of, you're paying for my work because that money that you pay for the album and wall art and everything includes the retouching, as opposed to I do that after the session fee, regardless of whether you buy it or not.
No, that's perfect because we live in such an instantaneous day and age now that, they think they have all these phone filters and everything that can do everything, but they go too far, right? So when you see a professional's hands actually touching it and they don't think it's coming straight out of camera, like, well, oh, my camera can do that. No, it can't. This is actually,
Right.
someone creative actually doing it and actually doing it properly. So I think that's a great way to actually establish that. So I really like that idea. That's cool. Um,
Thanks.
so let's just talk about a little bit. We talked a little bit about, shooting, out in the West, shooting out in those environments, but you also have a beautiful space. Your studio is very welcoming. Can you please tell us why you have a studio space and how you provide that for your customers and yourself? Is it more controlled space for you?
Yeah, definitely. So I like to be able to shoot. I shoot all year round, and I photograph because I photograph a lot of headshots. And I always like to start my kids in the studio first after hair and makeup's done, because especially in North Carolina, your
Hmm.
hair and makeup is never going to look as perfect once you walk out the door as, in our humidity as it does when you first get done. So I have a dressing room, I have a sales and consultation room, and then I have my camera room. So I like to be able to photograph if it's raining or windy or anything like that. I can still get it done. I do enough headshots alone to justify having a studio space. But it really sets me apart from all the other photographers in the area. There are very few that actually have their own studio. There are some studios that are for rent and things like that photographers can rent for an hour, but I like to have it as we talked about before we came on live. We talked about my backgrounds. So I just did this brick wall here that's behind me, the white brick wall. I did this brick wall. I've got a silver wall, a gold wall, my black and white wall down there that if you've seen my Instagram, you've seen that. And well, behind that modifier over there, there's a wood wall as well. And then on this side, oh, it's so messy. Sorry, guys. There's a teal wall and then my dark gray wall that I shoot a lot of headshots on, as well as some senior stuff.
That's awesome. So you kind of do everything based on a wall, so you're not having to do any like crazy setup time.
Right. So, and I have a ton of backdrops as well. I'm a little backdrop obsessed. But if I don't have to hang a backdrop and steam it and all that stuff, because I have backgrounds that I can just jump to. The other thing too, that I really like about this is if somebody wants to be photographed on that black and white wall, they have to come to me. That's not something that's a mural downtown that every photographer can shoot on. And so I designed it and then I had an artist come in and paint it. So that is specific to me. Now, I've had backdrop companies offer to buy it, the design, but I've said no because I want it, I want these, the backgrounds in here and being able to come in here and play. It's kind of funny because I did this before the Instagram museums or whatever have gotten really popular.
Mm-hmm.
And I did this before that. This was actually inspired by my friend Jeremy Witter's studio out in Illinois. He's got a huge warehouse, but he had different backgrounds all around. And I was like, that's so cool. I would love to have a place like that sometime. So my space is a whole lot smaller than his, but it's, I love being able to just jump from one to the other and shoot. And when I saw him doing that, when I went to visit one day and he was shooting and just going from one set to the other, just rolling the lights down the floor and shooting at the next. And I was like, that's so cool. I want to be able to do that. So that's what I did with my space. And I've been renting here. I've been in the building for 7.5 years. I've been in the space for 5. And eventually I would love to buy a big space and be able to do this. But as we know, real estate's ridiculous right now. So it'll probably be a long time. But yeah, I love to be able to do that in here and have control. And we talked about, so like this entire wall down the opposite side where I'm facing is all windows. And so I could shoot natural light if I want to. If you know my work, I'm not much of a natural light shooter. So I typically am closing those windows, closing the blinds and everything. And, so I can have control over my light.
That's awesome. You mentioned something about those little Instagram little bubbles, I guess, that are popping up lately. What is your thoughts and opinions about those, especially for photographers maybe starting out?
Yeah, I think they're awesome for photographers starting out if you have lights and you know how to use them.
Mm-hmm.
They're typically, from what I've seen anyway, they're typically not lit for a photographer. So I think they're awesome for the kids to be able to go do like their selfie museum. So I think they're awesome for the kids to be able to go, do their selfies in all these cool spots and all that. I think it was genius whoever thought of them, because they seem to be doing really well, and they're usually booked out for a while, because with COVID and everything, you have to make an appointment. They're usually booked out for a while, but I mean, I think it's a fun idea for sure. If you're a photographer and you don't have a studio, if you can take, even just a single light with you, and, be able to kind of go around and do some sessions at those. They all work with photographers, as far as I know. All the ones I've seen are willing to work with photographers to let you set up sessions there.
I'm sure they want that advertisement.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So, we talked a little bit about, some things happening with challenges that are going on. COVID was something that happened last 24 months, basically. What types of challenges are the most common things that you think photographers are running into today?
Honestly, today, I hope there aren't anymore. It's, 2021 was my best year in business by far, which was great because 2020 sucked, being shut down for 2.5 months. But it's come back. Photography, I think, has come back. And I don't know, I have theories why, like, as far as, people appreciating photos of their loved ones more and things like that after everything that's happened the last couple of years. So I have theories why it's come back so strong, but it's really, in 2021, I hit my annual goal by May 28th last year. So it was easily my best year in business ever. So I ended up doubling my goal by the end of the year, more than doubling my goal by the end of the year. So I'm hoping people aren't running at anything at this point. I know that there are some states that are still a little more on the cautious side and things like that, but I'm hoping that everybody's kind of, doing kind of what I did as far as diversifying their business a little bit, finding other things they can do to work around, and, bring in more income and running with it. So if anybody's still having trouble with their business, I would love for them to reach out to me and let me see if I can help.
Do you think anyone will be having trouble with, like, maybe the social aspects? I know some people have trouble just figuring out what to do. Instagram's constantly changing. Now it's like more video centric than it was maybe 2 years ago and stuff like that. Do you have any recommendations for people that might have trouble trying to figure out, like, the new Instagram changes or anything like that?
If you're not learning video, or at least, because you're right, it is definitely more video centric. Even if you're taking your iPhone and doing behind the scenes and, things like that, post that stuff. People will it'll stop their scroll faster with video. And the algorithms on Facebook and Instagram promote video more than they do with photo. And so make sure that you're just diving head first. I'm a jumper, Jeremy. I always have been. Like, whatever's going on, I'm like, cool, I'm going to do that, except for TikTok. I've struggled with I have like one video on TikTok. I really need to work on that more. But, for me, it's like whatever's going on, whatever's hot, I'm going to just, go jump in with both feet and see what I can do. So videos is a fun thing to do. I do senior films, which you can see on my website if you haven't seen those before, but I do senior films and really enjoy doing that. But the kids love the films and they enjoy feeling like a star, and the parents love capturing, more than just photos for them, really capturing emotion and movement and who their kids are a lot with video. So video is not a bad thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Video is where it's kind of all been leading to lately, especially with those platforms. I mean, TikTok has kind of taken over that realm where now you see everyone's kind of copying bits and pieces of it. I think they're making longer TikTok now. So I heard they're going to be about 2 to 3 minute link videos. Perfect for BTS sessions, even promotional videos. I myself haven't really jumped into TikTok as much as I want to because I don't know. Maybe it's the I'm finally feeling 36. Then I'm like, do I need to know this app? But I'm like, it's there and it's valuable. But for businesses, especially for photographers, I think it's like straight up awesome to be able to show that type of stuff, and it gets that interactivity.
Yeah, the worst part about TikTok is if you open the app and sometimes it's like 8 p.m. and the next thing you know it's 1 a.m. and you're still watching TikTok videos. That's the worst thing about it. I have lost so many hours of my life watching TikTok, but I've learned a lot. I mean, the people who are, talk about TikTok being awful and all that stuff, I'm like, you're not watching the right videos. There's so many like how-tos and DIYs and just things that, educational things that people talk about. So once you start watching those videos and you're liking those videos, it'll show you more like that. So if you're getting sketchy stuff, that's on you, y'all. So but I love watching it. And I definitely want to create more and that kind of thing. So I'm actually working on some behind the scenes video stuff that I did with my phone for like Instagram stories or whatever, that I'm going to, make into a TikTok video for, from Fusion, from the workshop that we just taught in Vegas.
That's awesome. Jill had a question real quick, and this kind of relates to it. Does Jenn do the video shooting and editing herself for the senior films?
I do. So it's not easy to do photo and video because it's like there's like photo brain and video brain. It's kind of hard to switch back and forth sometimes. So I have a separate camera that I carry on a Ronin if I'm doing video for a shoot. And I add like an hour onto a session, and to where I have time to get those video clips that I need to put something together for the client. But I'll add like an hour onto the session. And, each time we shoot, I'll stop and grab my other camera that's on the Ronin and shoot some video clips and that kind of thing. And I edit in Final Cut Pro. So, and everything I know I've learned from Garen Cooper. He is amazing. And he's the one that teaches with us for Fusion, the workshop. So he's incredible. He's actually a filmmaker who started doing photo after he was doing video. So he knows how we think as far as being a photographer, and he understands how we think. And the thing that I hear from him more than anything is, Jenn, you're shooting it like a photographer. And I'm like, I am a photographer, but it is a completely different thing. If you watch a photographer do a video versus watching a filmmaker like Garen do a video, it's completely different. I always call like photographers' videos are like moving pictures. It's basically what it is. It's not shot like a cinematographer would. So anyway, I know I'm plugging Garen a lot today, but he's taught me everything I know about video. So,
well, I just bringing up your website, you can see a little bit of just what that looks like here, that experience that she's showcasing just with this one that she has on her website, which, by the way, if you haven't been to, Jenn's website, it's absolutely gorgeous. Showcases her work, that visual aspect right away. So take a look at that, see what some of this work that she has on there right away. You just get a flavor for everything. And there's some of those shots from previous years, I believe, right? Out in the desert?
Yep. That one was 2018 for that shot.
Yeah. So really cool stuff. Let me pull back out. There we go. Yes. Okay. Sorry, I lost my track for a second. But yeah, you're right. I came from a video background, and like I said, I picked up a camera way late in life. But I was immediately attracted to video, mostly because I came from a drawing background. I was really into storyboarding and kind of knowing where pieces kind of lay out in the story. But like taking stills was a different idea, different brain set, like you said, versus capturing something that's in motion, versus like, okay, this has to be impactful, but still at the same time. So right. It takes a different type of mindset. And if you don't shoot one way or the other, you can kind of tell like, well, this guy's probably shoots video. Or
yeah, so, you could definitely tell the difference, but knowing the difference when you're photographing, like when you're doing senior films. And if you guys check out my website later, there's actually in the My Work tab, there's actually senior film section on there. So you can see some of the senior films that I've done. But yeah, learning to shoot it like a filmmaker it's huge. It's so much more impactful. So.
Oh, wow. You have a couple in here. I'll just let people see that real quick. So This is really great because, it's a great way to just showcase all your work. Let people see what you're working on, right? So you can see there's videos for here on that page that she's talking about. So JennLewisPhotography.com/senior-films, bunch on here. So take a look at those, see what she's been doing and how she's making that interaction. Because again, people see these. This is all marketing tools at the end of the day. And your website is one of your most powerful marketing tools that you should be utilizing all the most. People get it on social media and think that's all it needs to go to. But at the end of the day, you're trying to gravitate them back over here to see all you so they can invest in you. So next, let's talk a little bit more about some things. Are you doing anything differently that you were doing, like, say, maybe 5 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, just as far as diversifying more, 5 years ago, I was all seniors. Like, that's all I wanted to do. So I was out of weddings as far as like, I'd booked my last one and like, I wasn't taking any new ones. I'd taken everything off my website except for seniors. And I never really thought of myself as diversifying. I was starting to get some actor headshots and things like that coming in from the studio that I work with, because they were asking me to. My boys were professional actors for several years and trained at that studio. And so their agent, as well as their acting studio, they were sending me people, but it wasn't anything like, if you looked at my website, that was all seniors. But I'm really enjoying the diversifying. As far as teens, photographing those teens and doing those teen sessions, those kids are a lot of fun. Like, they are wide open and I have so much fun with them, with those younger kids. But it's also creating brand loyalty early for me for their senior stuff. So I photographed several kids last summer. That was when I first started really doing the teen sessions, was last summer. So I photographed several of those kids, and all but one of them so far has joined my influencer team for high school now that they're in high school. And so that's been, it's feeding right into it. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, so the diversifying has been really good for me. And then, with headshots, diversifying with that, like, it's been great because while the kids are all in school during the day, I'm able to do commercial video. And I never thought I'd do video. Like, that was just not something I was even contemplating. And, I never thought I'd do more than just taking some behind the scenes on my phone, to post or whatever. But yeah, being able to do the commercial video and headshots and things like that while the kids are in school have been awesome.
So we'll go into a little bit more technical stuff. So what kind of gear are you using lately?
So I've changed to mirrorless, switched to mirrorless. So I am still with Canon. So I've got an R5 and an R6, and as far as my lenses, I am all on, I have switched a couple to RF lenses. So I've got a 50 and a 100, and I've sold like everything. I've sold like all my old gear. And I've got a couple random things still left that I need to sell, but anyway, yeah, I've got the 50 and 100, and then I kept my 24 to 105 with the adapter, just because I didn't want to replace that. I don't use it enough to go buy an RF version. So I just kept that one with the adapter. But as far as my lighting gear, I'm all Godox, all through molight.com. And so Michael has the best customer service of anybody who sells lighting. And not many other people will, or nobody else will actually, go into groups like mine or, the other groups and answer questions on a Sunday evening or whatever, as far as lighting. So Michael's just awesome. So I get all my lighting from him. And and as you saw when I spun around, I've got a lot of it. My studio is full of LED lights, and as far as for video and things like that, I've got LED panels, and I've got several strobes and tons of modifiers and all that stuff. I need to have another. A long time ago, I did I did a workshop here at the studio, lighting workshop, so people could come and learn techniques, but then also try out all the different gear that I have, because I have a ton of it. So, but yeah, and then, that's pretty much it for my gear. And then my Ronin, when I'm doing video, I use the DJI Ronin. I've got the RST2. Actually, I've got 3 Ronins, but that's the newest one that I've got. So.
Well, cool. We're gonna stop our questions a little bit, but I'm gonna open it up now for people who might want to ask some questions, and then we'll do our follow-up wrap-up. So, if you have any questions, you can unmute and just go ahead and ask away. Ask Jen anything that you have some questions about.
Hi.
I can. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Hi, I met you in Maryland for Image PPA USA. Do you remember me?
Yes, I do. Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. It's so exciting to talk to you. Hey, and you covered a lot. So, but I want to ask you a question regarding photography for seniors. I live in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, in between Milwaukee and Chicago, and it's a smaller tourist town, and there's a whole bunch of schools, obviously everywhere. When you marketed yourself, did you actually get a little more aggressive and go to the schools and say, hey, I'm starting this business. I would like to implement my photography talents towards some of your students? Did you take business cards? How did you grow? Because I know a lot of it's word of mouth. I understand that, but I'm in its infancy. My business is in its infancy. I'm using PhotoBiz, by the way.
Ah.
But it's a process. That's another question for another time. So what did you do to kind of propel yourself into the stratosphere here like you are now? It's so awesome.
I have not actually personally gone to schools. I was very lucky in that because I have teenagers, I have friends who have teenagers, and I was able to. Now, my teenagers are boys. They are absolutely 100% useless as far as helping me market anything, because they're boys and they don't care. And, so they're like, oh, that's so girly. I don't want to do that, So anyway, so they were useless. However, because I have friends who also have teenagers, I kind of went in that direction as far as photographing seniors, and really tried to push, getting some of them to, bring in their kids, even just to model. So I had some stuff. I was stalking them on Instagram and things like that. However, I don't really recommend going in that direction. What I recommend if you're trying to start in seniors is going to the schools. Now, if you go to a school and you say, hey, I would love to photograph something, give back to the community, because that makes you look like a rock star. If you want to give back to the community, hey, I'd love to photograph something for you. They're going to have somebody most likely who already photographs the football games and the baseball games and, probably soccer and things like that. What they don't have is they don't have anybody who photographs wrestling. They don't have anybody who photographs girls volleyball. They don't have anybody who photographs the debate team. They don't have, so things like that, you can, just be like, hey, where can I help? Where can I give back in the school? And being able to build those relationships with them, but then also becoming a familiar face and that sort of thing. And then also, I don't know about your area. In my area, boutiques are a huge thing with the kids. So like a lot of my girls, they love shopping at the local boutiques. They like shopping still at like American Eagle and, things like that at the mall, but boutiques are a really big deal here. So going to a boutique and saying, hey, I would love to photograph, some of your new clothing line or something like that. In exchange, do you mind, I'll give you the watermarked images to use on social media or website or whatever to promote your stuff. Do you mind in exchange if I can put in a coupon, make some nice, like thick 5x5 cards with some information like, hey, you get $100 print credit when you book with me or something like that, and put those in their shopping bags. So, find where your target client is hanging out, figure out what they're doing, and work with those businesses. You could create things. If you have other businesses that work with a lot of kids, you can create things to hang on their walls, or, like I said, have some sort of a coupon, a discount for them to hand out in their shopping bags and things like that.
I agree about the wrestling thing too. I was on a wrestling team for 8 years and no one ever wanted to shoot us, but baseball and all those other guys, they're taken care of. They're all like the kings. So yep. Yeah, get into those sports, or, those people that really want to have the images because they're not getting that exposure. It's going to elevate a kid's mood so much that someone wants to show them in their light that no one else is doing. So, and I really love the boutique idea. That's a great idea.
Thank you. Yeah, my kid was a wrestler, so I know. My middle one, he was a wrestler, so I know nobody ever goes and photographs that. They're like a bunch of sweaty boys in singlets. It's just not a thing. So, but the kids want to have that stuff. Like Noah, when I would go to this, to the matches, like he's like, can you get some pictures or some video or something? Like he's like, I want to see what it looks like. I want to see what my moves are like, that kind of thing. So, that's definitely something these kids want too. And I had a ton there for a while, actually still, but there for a while, I had a ton of girls volleyball players on my influencer team that were doing, whenever they're on my influencer team, they're committing to be a senior client with me too. And I had a ton of girls volleyball. So they, they make great clients, but you got to get your face in front of them.
Yeah. Okay, another question. Anyone?
Hi, Jen.
Hi, Denise.
Hi. I'm very local to you. I'm in Rural Hall, about 10 minutes.
Oh, you're
west of
super
Salem.
close.
Yeah, very close.
Awesome.
I was wondering if you could give a little bit more information about your influencer team. I have, for some reason, all the years, I've been with PhotoBiz also since 2009. I love them. But for some reason, I cannot wrap my head around, and I have tried and tried, taking classes and everything to create a really stable, great influencer team. That's the one big area that I struggle with. I would love to have one.
Is there a particular part that's stopping you up? Do you have a specific question about it? Like, is it
Just
about building the team or what to do with them, or?
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, you talked about the creative side earlier, and I'm really good in that. I'm very creative with the shoots and styling and stuff like that. And all my senior clients are super open to allowing me to do that. But I just struggle with getting people to interview for it or apply for it. So I don't get any feedback. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't get.
Are you
feedback
photographing seniors currently?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
My largest clientele are seniors, but I've been doing teens and tweens for a while too.
Yep. So as far as, you need to think about what you're offering them, you can actually go, if you go on my website, and one of the things I love about PhotoBiz is the built-in forms. So I've got the application on my website. So you can go to the website and look at JLP influencer team application. And that's got the beginning of that, before you get to the form that they fill out. The beginning of that is, it kind of gives you an idea of what I offer and, the costs and things like that, what they can expect to get from being on the team. But thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah.
I offer exclusive team shoots throughout the year. As far as the fee that I charge, it's a very nominal fee, because I just want them to invest something, because people don't, they don't value what they get for free. So I need them to invest something in it. Excuse me. But they get the team shoots, and I use my photo app, and they get a free app to have their team shoots on. And I always photograph, like, I do individual shots, friend shots. Like, so if they join the team with a friend, they get to, get pictures of their friends at the shoots and things like that. And then as well as the team stuff. So they get that, and then they get $100 of what they pay to be on the team comes back to them in the form of print credit toward their senior session. So, but you can see all that on there on the application. Like I said, the information above the application, you'll see all the information on there as far as what they get. But those team shoots are a lot of fun. It's not from my team. It's not about the photos. I mean, they love having their photos taken, and, they want fun and cool photos and all that stuff. It's more, though, about building the friendships. It's more about building relationships, making new friends, getting in a circle. I serve, I'm not sure how many schools I cover right now, but I know in the past it's been up to about 13 or 14 high schools in the area. So I have kids from all over. So my kids drive. I've got one that drives about an hour and a half for every shoot that I do. I've got a couple from Greensboro that come in for the shoots and things like that. But it's about meeting kids from different areas, building new relationships. I had kids my first year that I did a real team. I had tried before that, but I wasn't good at it. So my first year that I did a real team, I had two girls who didn't know each other all that well. They knew each other from school. They didn't know each other all that well, but they built that relationship during, being on the team, and they left as college roommates. Wow. And so being able to forge those, help forge those friendships for them has been really a huge part of that for me. I love being able to do that for them. And it's, it's always a safe space. Like when we're hanging out, nobody's bullying, nobody's picking on each other, nobody's being mean. There's nothing like that. It's just, we just have fun. It's a safe space to be yourself, be silly and goofy and whatever, whatever you are, and just, and just be you and just have fun together. So,
well, I think it would be great because you are the only local photographer right now, local to me, that's doing that. But most of my clientele come from Surrey County, Stokes County, and a lot northern. So like the Mount Airy high schools and Surrey Central and East Surrey and stuff like that. So no one's doing it. And I don't know why I've been so unsuccessful in launching something like that, but I want to give it another honest try to do that, because that's the area that I was born in and know the people in as well.
Right.
So yeah.
And that's awesome that you were born there. Like, I'm not from here, so I didn't go to high school with any other parents or anything like that. Like, I don't have those, because my dad was Air Force. Like, I don't have those relationships that go that far back. So, but it's, if you want to reach out to current clients or, anybody you've been talking to for like 2023 or things like that, are you booking 2023 yet?
No, I'm not.
Well, and that's okay. I haven't started booking in 2020, but I'm just saying, as you start getting inquiries for 2023, or start putting things out there and say, hey, if you're planning on coming to me for, 2023 senior portraits, reach out. I've got something I'd love to talk to you about. And, just put something together, charge them something. It doesn't have to be a lot, but charge them something just so they value it. But I mean, you could charge them $99 and just say, hey, for an extra $99, we're going to do a couple of fun shoots as a group, and that kind of thing, and get it started. When I first started doing a team, I literally, my very first year that I did what I consider my real team, I only had 3 kids who actually applied and then did it, because they're committing to be senior clients. So my sales average is over $5,000. So, that's going to cause some attrition right there. People apply when they realize that it's an investment. They don't have to spend that much, obviously, but when they realize it's a larger investment that they're committing to, some kids don't join the team, and they, so I don't get everybody. So I only ended up with like 3 kids on the team. And then I did not have, at the time, I didn't have any athletes, and I needed an athlete for something. I reached out to my intern who was coaching girls, assistant coaching girls volleyball. And I said, hey, can you get me somebody to come into the studio? I want to try something. I need an athlete with a uniform. And so she brought one of the girls over. She had so much fun. I talked to her about the team. And then I said, do you have any friends who would want to do it with you? And so she brought 2 more girls. So my first team ended up being 6 instead of 3. But it was really, I mean, I was, all but begging people, but I was like, hey, we'll do this fun stuff. It's a small fee, we'll do this fun stuff, and and we'll see how it goes. And I let them know this is my first time putting a real effort into this, but I think it'll be really cool. And to this day, those kids, I still keep in touch with all of them, and they absolutely loved being on the team. They had so much fun. Sometimes I get texts from them where they're like, oh my gosh, you're doing so many cooler things now. I wish I was on the team now, because I built it up so much, and I'm doing like, black light shoots and, all this like bigger stuff that I was doing with them. But anyway, I mean, even starting small, you're not going to get probably a lot at, the first year, but even if you get 3 or 4, who will come and just do a couple of shoots with you and start somewhere. And then once you start getting, you'll build your reputation from that. And also you're so close. Email me sometime, come hang out at the studio.
Okay. I would absolutely love that. If you ever want to do anything here, I'm in a 100,000 square foot warehouse. It's a tobacco warehouse. My daddy owns it. We can do lots of fun stuff here.
Oh my gosh. We're definitely, email me. Okay.
Okay.
So.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Denise.
So probably got, if you have any more questions, you can always reach out to us. We can always have this played back. We're going to probably play it back on Facebook anyway for more people to have opportunity to look at. I just have a few more questions I just want to ask Jenn just to wrap up. So what are you doing right now? Do you have any coaching or events coming up that you're going to be doing in the next year?
So we are actually getting ready to open registration on Monday. We're getting ready to open registration for Fusion for next year, Fusion 2023. So if you want to go hang out with us in Vegas, me, Dan Freevault, and Garen Cooper, and it is absolutely an amazing event. This will be our 3rd one, and we have a blast doing that. So anyway, I will, if you're not already in my business group, I have a Facebook group. It's Jenn's Business Corner, Jenn with 2 N's, Jenn's Business Corner on Facebook. Join us there. I make all the announcements in there, and we have a wait list and everything that will be going you'll get first dibs on registration for Fusion. So anyway, so yep, 3 days, photo, video, and business in a photographer's playground. So that's a lot of fun. We're really excited about opening registration for that for next year. And then I am headed in 3 weeks, I think. I'm headed up to St. Louis to do Shutterfest again. I teach there every year, and that's always a blast. It's a ton of photographers, a couple thousand. I'm not sure of the exact number that'll be there this year, but anyway, so I'll be teaching 3 classes up there, and the rest of this year, I've actually done most of my teaching already this year. So the rest of this year will be pretty slow. I was just announced as an official speaker for Sync next year as well. So if you haven't been to Sync in Florida, it's going to be in Fort Myers this year. They're changing the destination, but Sync is a great show for seniors. So it really depends on what you're looking for, what you're looking to get out of your education. Again, I'm a huge advocate for in-person education. The online stuff is great too, but I think you just get, you make connections and things like that with in person that I think are really valuable. So, but if you want the small, intimate, like we're limiting Fusion to 30 people. So, and we've got 3 instructors. We may have a 4th. We'll find out soon. So, but having a nice small group where you can really get a lot of one-on-one workshops are the way to go for that. And if you want to have a senior specific workshop or a senior specific conference, Sync is incredible. And Darty and Michelle have done an amazing job building the community there at Sync. And Shutterfest is just, wow. It's it's stay up all night, shoot all night, like never stop. You don't sleep for 3 days sort of thing. It is complete chaos, but it's the best kind of chaos. So really it just depends on what you're looking to get out of it. But all 3 events I'm super excited about. So that's what I've got on my calendar for now. I've had several states reach out to me for some more state stuff, PPA state stuff that I may be traveling for soon, but nothing official yet. So not talking about that quite yet. But anyway, so yeah, it's a lot of stuff always going on. I keep my calendar. I need to update it, but I keep my calendar on my website. So there's a For Photographers tab. So if you want to reach out about mentoring, I do one-on-one mentoring. If you have a group wherever you are and you guys want me to come to you, I can do workshops wherever you want. But I keep my information on that For Photographers tab. And then there's a form if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring that you can reach out to me through that form and send that in, and I can get you taken care of.
Okay, and all I have is basically 2 questions left. What are your 5 favorite things right now?
My 5 favorite things right now are naps. That is one thing. That's one thing I learned with COVID. If I'm, I used to be that I'm a workaholic by nature, and I used to be like, I don't have time for a nap. I've got too much to do. But then COVID made me realize, like, if I'm tired, I just, I'm better off just sleeping, because it takes me 3 times as long to accomplish anything if I'm tired than if I just take a nap and then get up and do it when I'm refreshed. So naps are number 1 on the list. Is that bad that spending time with my kids is number 2 on the list? Right below the naps. No, I love being able to spend time with my kids. That's what, if I'm not traveling, if I'm actually at home and I'm not working, I'm spending time with my kids. And my 15-year-old actually works with me, so I love having him there working with me. So and then another one would definitely be, I have my new favorite lighting, my run and gun lighting setup is MoLight. I talked him into carrying this little modifier that I absolutely love. It works with the Godox AD 100. It works with the 200 as well. I like it better with the 100. And it's a little handheld softbox. It's a 24-inch softbox, but it's got a handle on it. And so my 15-year-old loves this when we're shooting, because instead of like getting out and setting up a light stand and a strobe and a big modifier and then shooting a few frames and then taking it all down and moving to somewhere else and then setting it all up. It's this little handheld 24-inch softbox that I pop an 8100 and it's magnet. So you just pop the 8100 in there, turn it on, and you can go anywhere you want. And so we don't have to break it down. We just carry it with us wherever we're going. So especially if we're shooting somewhere where I'm just going like downtown, I do it a lot, like location to location, like, oh, let's go shoot over here. Okay, snap, snap. Okay, let's go over here. And I don't feel like I have to overshoot to justify carrying that big softbox and setting everything up and then breaking it all down. It's like I take 2 or 3 frames and we move to the next thing. So I love being able to run and gun with that. So it's called the Flip Speedbox. You can go to molite.com and find it. And again, I like it with the 8100, and that 100 is like the size of a soda can, and it's just easy and portable, and it's like my favorite thing ever. So okay, so I'll get off that. I'll get off that one. And then Fundy makes my world go round. My entire sales workflow is done with Fundy. I do my in-person sales with it, my gallery wall art designs with it, my album designs with it. You can do cards. Studio Magazine Designer is built in there, and it's fabulous. So you don't have to go look at 100 Studio Magazine templates and decide what you want. You can do it in there and make it anything you want it to be. So Fundy, yeah, they make my world go round, and they've got a brand new online proofer that I'm super excited about, where you can proof literally anything. It's like cards and wall art and everything, not just an album proofer. So anyway, I'll be posting about that later today in my Facebook group. So check that out. Was that 4? That was 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so PhotoBiz would have to be my other one for sure. So you guys take such good care of me and make me look good, and I get Google inquiries all the time. So I'm apparently doing pretty well in SEO. So I always ask everybody when they book me how they found me. And so anyway, that's been absolutely amazing for me. And it's, you guys are not, you guys are business partners, not just a vendor, but like business partners to help me look good. So I appreciate that. Y'all are the reason my website does look so good.
And well, thank you. And we love the relationship we have with you. Last question is best advice you ever got.
Oh gosh. I think raise your prices. That's a big one. And, you know, a lot of people, though, the issue that they have is not valuing themselves in what they do. And they're like, oh, but there are all these other photographers in my area, you know, who shoot and burn or who are so cheap, or they're good, but they're cheap. You know, how am I going to compete with that? They all do digitals. How do I compete with that? You know, that kind of thing. But honestly, setting yourself apart, it's not a bad thing to charge what you're worth. And you don't know, they're probably losing money. Don't compete with them on price, because they're probably not making anything. And, you know, but charging what you're worth and valuing your time and your, you know, the time that you put into educating yourself and the money that you put into your equipment and, you know, education and all of the things that you have to do to run a business. You need to value what you're doing. And if you value it, your clients will too. So yeah, raise your prices, charge what you're worth.
I think that's the best way to put it. Well, I want to thank you very much, Jenn. I want to thank all our guests for joining us today. It's been a pleasure talking to you, hearing from experts on what they're doing. And yeah, we're going to be doing way more of these. That's the big thing. I'm going to try to get more photographers on here. So if you know photographers that you're interested in hearing from, anything like that, please let us know. That's the most important part. You know, we want to make sure that we're curating content for you so we can get great guests like Jenn on to speak with us. So it was my pleasure to have you here today.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. That's it pretty much, everyone. If you have any questions or comments, we'll have the ability, we're going to replay this on our Facebook, and you can post comments there, and we can always reshare to Jenn, or Jenn might even actually see it. So
yep. I'll check. I'll keep an eye on it and make sure I answer any questions. And yeah, join my Facebook group. You can always ask questions there if they're business related or anything related, any photography stuff, ask questions there. But I appreciate you guys all showing up and asking questions and not making me and Jeremy sit here and talk to each other for an hour. So that was good.
Yeah, we all appreciate that. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I hope you all have a great rest of your day and a great weekend, and look forward to April.
Yes, for sure. Bye, guys.